Hey everyone, before we get started with today's interview, I have a huge announcement to make. My book, The Super Six, is now in pre-launch. And I guess you're telling yourself, the guy who does indie comic interviews is an indie comic book artist himself. Yeah, go figure, right? Surprise! Anywho, I've been working on this project for close to 3 years now. And as far as production goes, everything is coming to a close. But I still have a lot of work to do in terms of getting the book colored, lettered, and working on a few other things that is still a surprise for you guys. But I'm opening up the door for my pre-launch schedule right now. And what that means is if you go to my website, tobeheroic.com, and sign up for my pre-launch, you will get this free exclusive HD wallpaper. This wallpaper will not be featured in the Indiegogo campaign that's going to be launching, okay? This is the only time you can get this wallpaper. You can use it on your phone, your tablet, computer. You can show it off to your friends, however you care to use it. My artist, Ronell Reyes, put this together for you guys so you guys can get exclusive content. Also, when you sign up for my newsletter, guys, I'm not going to be spamming you, but you will be getting access to early release dates on certain tiers and stretch goals. You will also get a first look at the trailer, first preview looks before the whole campaign even goes live. So you guys will be getting your hands on a lot of stuff before it even goes live. So that's a cool incentive for that right there. If you're not interested in my campaign, well, guess what? If you visit my website, I have books. Yes, I've written books. Surprise! You can actually go on Amazon.com and get an ebook edition of my first book, The Zentown Chronicles, The Gencia Star, for free. That's an entire book, a whole book for free. So if you're looking to kind of finish off your summer reading list with something a little bit different, hey, guess what? Go check out my books. They're all superhero fantasy novels with a touch of mysticism in it. And the best part is that my books also tie in into the story of the Super Six. So it's kind of like you guys getting caught up on my whole story timeline before the newest edition of that story comes out, all right? So again, go to tobeheroic.com, throw in your full name, your email address. Be sure to alert your spam folder, all right? Let it know that my emails are not spam. The moment you hit submit, you will get this HD wallpaper sent directly to your inbox, all right? So I'm really excited to finally be launching this. I've been working on it for a long time now, and it's coming to an end, but I hope you guys do like it. And if you don't like the idea of getting emails from me, well, guess what? Here's a little gift from you. Go get one of my books for free. The first book, of course, because if you like the first book, you'll go get the rest of them, right? Who said that? Anywho, if you don't like it, hey, no money out of your pocket, right? There you go. All right, without further ado, let's get to this interview, guys. Thank you so much. Hello, indie lovers. Welcome back to another episode of Indie Choice Picks. You know what? I'm actually thinking about changing the show's name. If you have any ideas on what I should name the show, please let me know. But today, I got an awesome interview with the creator of the world-renowned, or more Twitter-renowned, Oddity. And if you don't know what Oddity is, it is literally a story about a mutated teenager into a frog that looks like Spider-Man, not far off, and he's protecting a swamp. So if you haven't seen that artwork yet on Twitter, you got to go look for it. It's actually really cool. So I got I have the creator of Oddity on my show today, and I hope you guys really enjoy what this dude has to say. So please enjoy this episode as I bring to you the creator of Oddity. Thank you, Sean, for coming on to the show, man. I've been seeing your stuff on Twitter, Oddity, and I just have to say, I like the artwork personally. I read your little synopsis on the story, and I think it's actually freaking fantastic. But I came across this. I don't know if you know a guy named Chauncey Sharon Jr.
He responded to something today, and I think I saw he made a little video today. He was doing a live thing on that.
Yeah. That dude, he brings me like all this material to look at. But I had already found you before Chauncey brought it to me, and I don't know. I like it. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. I think you've been getting a lot of negative feedback from some people on Twitter, if I got that right. A little bit in terms of the whole Comic Gates thing. I could be wrong, but
nothing specifically to me, I don't think.
No.
I post some spicy stuff sometimes, but I try to keep out of the politics, but every once in a while I can't help myself.
Yeah, you just get sucked into that. I've been really good this week to kind of like not get sucked in. But I mean, every once in a while you run into that douchebag who just doesn't want to leave you alone for some reason. And
I don't think I get it nearly as bad as most people. Or
yeah,
not
no,
most people, but they're like the big guys.
I think the guy I got my
I'm still small potatoes.
yeah, I think the guy that did Wampu, I'm wearing his shirt right now.
Yeah, yeah.
He
I
just
talked to him. He's cool.
yeah, man, Mr. Marvel. I'm just
Mr.
sad that
Marvel, good guy.
he gave up on Twitter and just kind of bounced. So
Did he get? I thought he got kicked off, didn't he?
he got suspended a lot of times, and then I think after the last time he was just like, "Fuck it, I'm done," and just dipped. So a lot of us kind of missed the guy because he just kept it real on Twitter. Like
He was a good guy.
yeah, he was cool. But let's talk about your stuff, Oddity, dude. I'm so excited to finally get to get you on the show, man, because like I'm just reading this and I don't want to sound mean or anything, but your main character looks like one of my people that I used to know. Like he has the red hair, he had the buggy eyes and stuff, and he was just really skinny. He wore Chucks all the time, and I'm like, dude, this looks
mean
like
to me. I'll tell you that. You're being mean to your friend.
but look at that, like, man, that looks like that look. I'm not gonna name any names, but it looks like that kid I used to know when I was a lifeguard for sure. Like if you were to make a live action, I'll just get him on the phone. Hey man, you want to play a part? So tell us a little bit more about your comic. So this guy he takes it upon himself to watch over the swamp, but they call him the Oddity. And I guess he's like one of those urban folklore legends that everyone talks about, like Bigfoot and something, but he's actually real.
Yeah, basically, I mean, this book isn't going to be the origin story,
Okay.
but we dip a little bit into it to, kind of give a little bit of background. We kind of hint at it. The next book will be the full origin story.
Okay.
But basically, in this one, he's going to get his name, the Oddity. If you've seen some of the art, there's a character who's like on the TV. He's based after Art Bell.
Oh, okay.
And he does like one of those kind of talk shows where they do like supernatural stuff, and they interview like those kind of shows.
Yeah, like cryptic zoology and all that fun
kind of
stuff.
Yeah. He's got one of those shows, and he's doing in one of the episodes is about the frog monster of the swamp, and he calls it the Oddity, and he's gonna basically he talks about it, and then there's a couple of like redneck guys, and they're like, oh, we're gonna go get him. And because he's going to issue kind of a reward.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it starts. And he's like a wise ass teenager who's been turned into this frog monster. And the swamp is kind of alive. It's like a mystical kind of swamp thing.
Okay.
And it's assigned him as like the guardian of the swamp because there was some chemical accident and the swamp needs time to heal itself.
So they're kind of like the island from Lost, where it's like the island is somehow alive, so to speak.
Sort of. It is, and it's kind of like a big kind of swamp spirit kind of thing, and it's assigned him to keep people out because it's dangerous for the people to be there, and it's dangerous for the swamp for the people to be there. And he's a wise ass teenager, and he doesn't really take his role seriously. So, because he doesn't take his role seriously, stuff happens and he's irresponsible and he creates a greater danger. And now he has to basically accept his responsibility and fix it before it's too late. That's the basic theme of the. It's very like kind of Spider-Man-ish, where he has to learn to be responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to learn to be responsible and take it all seriously.
That's the kind of vibe I got from it, kind of like Spider-Man, but he's a frog. Because looking
thematically, it's very similar. I mean, it's very different. It's going to be a comedy. A lot of it's like a horror comedy, and we're going to have a lot of fun, tell a lot of jokes, and we're going to try to make it good and humorous. But underlying is going to be the same kind of take your job seriously, and he's going to kind of have to grow into being the hero of the swamp.
I got you. Can you see my screen right now?
I sure can.
Fantastic. So how did you come up with the idea to make this story? Because I know a lot of people that I've had on the show, they come up with inspiration from like ancient aliens or like cryptozoology and stuff like that. Is that how you came up with the idea of creating this kind of character?
Well, this is where it goes a little different than most writers.
Okay, go for it.
Oddity is his story. Is Sweens the artist?
Mm-hmm.
It's his baby completely. He created the character years ago, and he's been slowly kind of working on it. And I mean, as his art's improved, the character's improved. So basically, what happened is he came up with the character, and he was writing it with his brother, or his brother was writing it for him. They got about 15 pages in, and his brother, just kind of lost interest.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of asked around. I have my own YouTube show, and when I saw the character the first time show up on my feed, I was like, "Hey man," I said, "How did I miss this guy?" So I had him on my show. I had him on a couple of times, and then I had him on a third time. And after the show, we were talking offline, and he was like, "Hey man, you want to write it for me?" I was like, I mean, I'm totally blown away. He had been drinking a little bit, so I was like, oh, maybe he had a fight with his writer, and by the morning time, he's gonna, everything's gonna be cleared up. But then he's like, yeah, I really need your help with this. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. So he had the first like 15 pages done, and he's like, I'm like, okay, so what's going on here? And he's like, you know what? You figure it out. I just want you. I want not like he didn't know, but it's like he wanted to see what I had to offer for the story.
Got you. Yeah.
So I looked at the first 15 pages, and I'm like, all right, well this is what I think's going on, and so I wrote up a script for the first like 7 pages, and then and I made some suggestions like on here you don't see it, but there's I suggested, hey, you might want to do an establishing shot of the swamp. To kind of show the whole thing. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's good. And he liked the ideas I came up. And then we sat down, and basically I did a whole outline. That's what I scripted the first few pages, and then did a whole outline of what I thought the rest of the story should be. And he was like, good, you're on board. And I was like, you're hired. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, cool.
Right on, dude. So, I had a question on the tip of my tongue and I forgot it. So you've been working on this for a while, you and your team, because I think I started the Indie Choice Picks show back in March, and I've seen it even before March on Twitter. So you guys have been working on this for quite a while.
I've only been on board since May or June, I think.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was the artist that I kind of saw it from.
He's been posting a lot of stuff. And like I said, I came on kind of late. So about May or June, I came on.
Okay. And you guys are trying to get it out by March 1st of 2020. How far along are you guys?
Well, we're going to launch the camp. We're about halfway. I've scripted. Well, the script is weird because since he's already started, he started, 15 pages in or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, I scripted out the first 7 pages, and then there was another section. The next scene after that 7, I was like, okay, look, we're gonna make some changes here because for the story I need it to to narratively it has to play different.
Okay.
So, yeah, sure. So I gave him suggestions, and we moved a bunch of frames and pages around, and then I scripted a couple of more pages. So when we're done with the story, when we're done and when he's done actually doing the art, I'm going to have to go back over the whole thing and basically write the whole script out again so I can hand something to the letterer. So that's what we got going on right now.
All right.
So it's kind of it's a weird process. Not that I've written a couple of comics, nothing that's been published, but I've always written out a whole script and had a script ready. But this one, we're kind of playing it by ear and kind of riding by our coattails.
I got you.
The dance.
So you spoke a little bit.
We know where we want it to go, and we know what's going to happen. So it's just a matter of, okay, on this page, this has to happen. In this scene, this has to happen, that kind of stuff.
Fantastic.
So we're going along that way. We're going to be dropping the Indiegogo September 1st.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that because just by looking, I thought I missed it because I saw so much art. And I was like, there's no way in hell I did not miss this Indiegogo.
I had to tell him to stop posting all that art. I said, you're giving too much of the book away.
Yeah, you got to give like a little bit or none at all, because if you give too much, people aren't going to want to go ahead and support you in your Indiegogo or buy your book. Yeah, it's a tricky little vicious game.
Yeah,
Trust
you
me.
have to you have to give them a little bit. Like instead of doing whole pages, I'm like, all right, we can put out like a panel here, a panel there.
Yeah, exactly. So, you said in issue 2, you're gonna go into the oddities in origin story, like how he
Mhm.
became what he is. Could you tell me a little bit more in depth, like who was this kid before he became what he was?
Well, I'll tell you, he was. I won't go too much. We don't want to give away spoilers too much, but basically, he was just a loser kid that used to hang out and not do a whole lot. And it's kind of like how he starts in this story, only through what I call botched science and magic.
Mm-hmm.
He becomes the frog creature. There is an accident. There's a chemical plant near the swamp, and there is an accident in the chemical plant, and through circumstances, that and the magic of the swamp turns him into the oddity.
Okay. What is his name? I mean, like his human name.
Um, I'm going with Todd for his first name.
I knew it was Todd. I can. I
And it was
it
because
looks like a Todd.
plus it's close to Oddity, so it kind of like goes along with it.
Got you. Oh, that's clever.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're going. That's what we're going for his first name. I haven't come up with a last name yet.
Okay. I like Todd actually. I was looking at that and it's like, what would you name a humanoid frog? Because Todd kind of sounds like Toad.
Mhm.
Kind of has the same letters in it. Just take out the A and throw in another D for sure. So
Yeah.
you have a whole team.
Go ahead.
You have a whole team working with you. You're the writer, and you have artist who is Sean, and then you also have you're also the letterer, right?
Well, we have to change that page. But the letter is actually going to be Eric Weathers, who letters everything else. So
I had an interview with Eric Weathers just last week on his book. So
yeah,
he's a cool dude. Like
he does everybody.
yeah, he knows everybody. His book, Flying Fortunes, looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So Eric
Yeah.
Weathers, if you're watching, man, I got you, bro. But no, like okay, so the whole color, the whole everything. Break that down. Who does what when it comes to this? Because the art, I keep on looking at your pages on Twitter. Whenever they come across, I'm like, man, this looks like a really great book. Like, who's doing the artwork here?
Sweens is the full package. I mean, he's basically carrying me for this book.
Okay.
So he's the artist. He's the colorer. He was going to be the letterer, but I guess we want to make sure the book gets out on time. So we want to make sure if it's going to be the best book it's going to be, we want the most professional letterer we could get.
Got you. Okay. Okay.
Lettering, a lot of people discount it. They don't think too much about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's poorly lettered, it can ruin a book.
Yes.
And if it's really well lettered, people don't even notice.
Yes.
That's kind of the way lettering works.
Yeah. That's a lot of it. Also knowing where to put the speech bubbles and stuff like that. I know.
There's a real art to it. I mean, I did a 4-page story with eBay Canales.
Mm-hmm.
A little 4-page comic that I wrote, a little, kind of Twilight Zone horror comic. And I did the lettering for it. And it's not terrible. It was my first time ever doing it, but looking at it now, I was like, yeah, it would definitely be better if we got a real letterer for it.
Yeah, I know people who do the original kind of, they draft it out and they put in the speech bubbles where they feel it's going to be. And then there's people that don't. I'm one of those people that don't. I know that's a bad habit to have when it comes to drafting, but it's worked out so far for me. So just going to keep it going the way it goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I know there's a couple of frames or a couple of panels that I was going over when I was doing the scripting, and the way Sweens had drawn it, it was like a close up. You see in the corner of the Oddity, there's that housefly.
Yeah.
That housefly is like his Jiminy Cricket. It's like his Yoda.
This one right here, right?
Nope, down up top.
Right here. Oh, wait.
If you keep going up, right there, that housefly in the top.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that in one of your pages.
It's like the size of a bird.
Yeah.
In the comic, and he talks to it, and it basically, guides him. It's kind of more in tune with the swamp, and has to tell him, look, you need to be in tune with the swamp. if you want to do your job right. And he's just blowing the job off. Yeah, that fly right there.
See, I thought that like he was about to eat this fly, but now you're saying that's kind of like his Jimmy.
Yeah, not scripted. And I kind of asked about it because I was like, you really put a lot of focus on this fly. He's like, oh yeah, that fly is big. And later on, because from all the pictures and stuff, it's hard to tell that the fly is so big because you don't get really perspective. So I had him draw in one of the scenes with him in the trailer. He's talking to the fly, and the fly is right in front of his face. So you get that sense of how big the fly is.
Right on, right on.
Telling him, hey man, you need to take your job seriously, and you need to do this right. You can't be just a goofing off and doing whatever.
Got you. Now, who is this lovely young lady right here? What's her deal?
That is Paige Turner.
Okay, tell me about Paige Turner.
Yeah, she is. She's another character in the book. Obviously, she's gonna be kind of like his sidekick, sort of. She gets in trouble in the swamp, and he saves her, and then she actually is part of his origin story, and that she worked for the chemical company, and she's on his side and everything, but she's kind of working through some issues because she feels kind of guilty about what happened, even though she wasn't directly responsible. So she's working with him and trying to help him out.
Got you. Now, are they the same age, or is she a bit older than him?
I think we're going with maybe a couple years older, not too much.
Okay. I think you might have mentioned this before, and I apologize if I missed it. Is he on the journey to try and be changed back into a human, or is he just kind of sitting back accepting what happened to him?
Well, he doesn't really like that he is what he is, but he's kind of grown to accept it. She's not. I guess she thinks she wants to cure him, and maybe we'll bring that in a little bit. But I think he's got some sense, and maybe the fly will tell him that it's not something that, because part of it is magic. It isn't all, whatever the accident is.
Got you. Because go ahead.
Well, there is talk. There will be talk of a quote unquote cure in the book. I don't want to get too much into it because that will get into spoilers. Okay.
You speak a lot about magic. Now, these creatures right here, kind of like what you're talking about when you refer to the magic. Like when you say magic in the swamp, are you saying that the swamp is possibly populated by mythical creatures?
There will be, I think, going forward in future books, we might talk about different creatures of the swamp. Those little things, I've been calling them peepers. They're kind of the eyes of they got big eyes. They're like the eyes of the swamp.
Okay, makes sense. Makes perfect sense. All right. I'm a little what's the IndieCron? Is that
that's I think Edwin Boyette and a couple of other guys, they run that. That's basically, it's like a quick link to whatever, like if you've got an Indiegogo, you can go to IndieCron, and basically it's like a quick view of a whole bunch of books, Comicsgate books, or I think they're going to be expanding to other indie books. And you can go to IndieCron and you can see, these are all Comicsgate books that are currently on IGG, on Indiegogo.
Okay.
And this, we're right now is on the upcoming page. So we don't have our campaign yet, but since we're going to be starting ours soon, we're on the upcoming page. So once we are, in the campaign and we're full swing, then we'll get another listing on the IndieCron site where they can just click on it and go right to the Indiegogo page.
Okay, man, sounds good. So right now you guys are basically in your pre-launch. You're just trying to get
we'll be launching September 1st, and right now we're just putting all the tiers together and stuff like that.
All right, man. All right, so we're kind of coming to the end of the segment. My question for you is, do you guys have any stretch goals put in place or anything like that?
We haven't said anything. We have some ideas we're bouncing around. I'd like a pinup. We'd like to get some, pinups. We're talking about doing, and I don't want to say it yet till we have it nailed down, but there's another couple of books, and we might do like a team up pinup, not a comic, but just a pinup of all of our characters.
Okay.
We're gonna talk to somebody. I have an artist in mind that I'd like to have done, but like I said, until we get everything all set up, I don't want to get too deep into it. But yeah, we're talking about some pinups. I'd like to do. I'm big into trading cards. I love comic book trading cards. So hopefully that's a goal I'd like. Uh, we actually Ethan Van Sciver is going to do a team up cover where he's going to do Cyberfrog and Sweens is going to do Oddity on one cover, and they're going to basically do the cover together. So that's a big thing to look forward to.
That sounds like fun, man. Pinup covers and stuff like that. I like it. You know what? I like it to the extent because it's something that you give out rather than just the book. You know, you kind of get those extras when it comes down to running Indiegogo. So a lot of people who watch the show, believe it or not, they are indie artists looking to throw out their campaign, and they don't really quite know like which way to go when it comes to that. They have a good idea, but they just don't know how to pitch it. So in this last segment, what I'd like to do is kind of get your opinion, even though you haven't really started your campaign. I can already tell right now that this is about to blow up because it's such a great concept and a great story, and I've been seeing it every day, dude.
I hope so.
For sure. Can you tell the audience like 1 or 2 tips on how to prepare yourself to running a good campaign?
I think the big thing is we were debating whether to launch it in September or to launch it in March.
Mm-hmm.
And because we know the book will be finished by March, it's probably will be finished before the end of the year. So you really have to look at your numbers as far as how many people you got looking at your stuff.
Gotcha.
You've got, I mean, just like everyone else says, if you've got a YouTube channel, if you've got a bunch of followers on Twitter, you gotta get your name out there. And this is the first time I've really done a face reveal. So you got to get I think you got to get your face down there. I think it builds trust.
Yeah, for sure.
It's nice when if people want to back you, they want to see the person they're backing.
Yeah,
so at some point I knew I was going to do it. I was going to do a face reveal. I haven't till now, but yeah. And a lot of it is just because bad lighting and poor camera angle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I would say try to make sure that you've got a lot of followers, because the big thing is you got to have eyes on the book.
Mm-hmm.
So try to be friendly with everybody. Try to be professional. Show some. If you're not going to show, you got to show something for your artwork too, because that's what people have latched on with this. Sweens is an amazing artist. The character is really iconic, and some of the pictures, it's got a really, really unique like action look. Every picture of the character looks like a sprung rubber band, is the way I describe it. And I mean, you got to make sure your artwork's up to par. Make sure you're getting a lot of good feedback. Make sure you're showing everybody the product, and that's really the thing. Right now, I couldn't tell you how to run a successful one because we haven't started it yet. But I can tell you what you want is you want a lot of eyes on it. You want a lot of people looking on it. So you need to really build your audience, especially before you launch. Mm-hmm. That's the key. A lot of people are like, okay, I've launched and now I need to build an audience. No, that's too late. Some of the biggest problems I've seen, 'cause I've interviewed other creators and stuff for my own channel, is getting the audience before they launch. I think you launch too early, and then if you don't make it, then you get all down on yourself. You're like, oh, maybe it wasn't good enough. But no, not enough people saw it before you launched it. Because like they say, the best days are your first few days is where you're going to get a lot of backers, and then it'll pick up in the last few days. Mm-hmm. But again, that only works if you're constantly hitting, telling people about your project. If you're going to post about it on Twitter, make sure you post that link to the Indiegogo, not just, hey, look at, this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I see a lot of people who I've had on the show who are running their campaigns didn't quite get there. And they come to me and they ask me, like, what did I do wrong? And I always tell them, if it's kind of like the chicken and the egg scenario, having a following equals a good campaign, or having a good campaign equals a good following kind of thing. And it's kind of like, it's that catch-22. Like, you don't know which one will come first, because I've seen people who don't have a huge following run a very successful campaign, and I've seen people who have a very huge following not run a very successful campaign. So It's all about how you engage with their audience on social
Yes.
media.
Yes. If you're going to be, I mean, you can be kind of the fun asshole, you know what I mean? Where, you just
Yeah,
kind of laughs along with it. It's all a joke. But when you're talking to customers, when you're trying to get people to your book, you got to play up your book, and you got to be like, and you got to be thankful. You got to be grateful. These people are, giving you money. They're putting money in your pocket.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
you got to be grateful to those people. So, I mean, somebody says, hey, your book looks cool. You're like, hey, cool. We get the mailing list. Go check out our mailing list, and you'll get all the updates. Hey, thanks for commenting. Thanks for, thanks for, your support and that kind of stuff. We got a couple of guys that are really big and pushing us on Twitter and stuff. And all the time I'm like, hey man, thanks. You're doing a great job for us, and we really appreciate it.
Right on. Yep, that's exactly right. Well, Sean, thank you, man, for coming on the show. I'm really looking forward to you launching your Indiegogo Oddity, dude. I was, like I said before, I thought I missed it, but I'm so happy that I didn't. So,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, September 1st, you can catch it on Indiegogo. Just make sure you guys hit up Sean on Twitter, and you can follow the link. Just send me the link when it's ready to go so I can blast it out too.
And I'm Dave.
Dave,
Sean is the other
sorry.
guy.
Because I see Sean like right here, and I'm like, oh, okay, Dave. I'm sorry, Dave. I apologize.
No, it's no problem.
I usually go what that name says in like the downward left-hand side of your screen. So, but Dave, sorry guys, his name is Dave.
No, it's fine. It's totally fine.
All right, my man. Well, keep us updated on Oddity, dude. I just every time I see the artwork, I'm like, man, this is gonna be a freaking good book. It's kind of has that dark, kind of spooky kind of taste to it, but at the same time, it seems like it's gonna be a pretty funny kind of story to get into.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of insight. We're gonna have a lot of Easter egg jokes. We're gonna have a lot of like gross out humor kind of jokes, and then we'll have a lot of kind of cerebral kind of jokes. So we'll mix it up so everybody likes it.
That sounds good, man. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Dave. I really appreciate it, man. If I'm on Twitter all the time, so if you have any questions for me, if I have any questions for you, I can find you on Twitter easily.
Yeah, no problem. I'm always accessible on Twitter. I'm on there
man.
way too much.
yeah, I gotta limit myself on Twitter, dude. I think I give myself 1 day a week to just like no social media, but I think I might up it to 2 because it's getting really out of hand on there. So
yeah.
kind of dissing yourself for that. But hey, man, again, thanks for coming on the show, and I will see you on Twitter, my man.
No problem. It was a good time. Thank you.
No problem, man. Have fun.
You too.
And that is all the time we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Indie Choice Picks. I will post a link to the IndieCron of Oddity in the link below. I believe the campaign starts September 1st. So you guys can go ahead and sign up for that mailing list and be notified when that campaign goes live. All right? Again, if you are an indie comic book creator and you want to come on the show, please hit me up on Twitter, Will at AT Heroic Studios. There's Will at Heroic Studio, not the little weird A, the letter at, or the word at, AT. Will at Heroic Studios. Or you can find me at Heroic_Studios. I am holding my Red Ranger helmet because I love the Power Rangers. All right. So, guys, I will see you next week with another episode of Indie Choice Picks with some more awesome creators. So enjoy your week, and please be safe out there, ladies and gents. Bye.